Welcome to the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm Rick Hanson, and we will be talking about living, not dying. We're all in this adventure together, and we will be interviewing people who inspire us to live our best lives. People with various backgrounds who will walk us down the trails they took to not die rusty. Adventure in life are many things to many people. It could be a sprint or an endurance race, but with each adventure, we become a better version of us. We hope you keep chasing those dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty. Well, hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. This has been an adventure from the start because I have been trying to get Lindsey McElroy Ulrich on for like 2 weeks now, and everything things have not worked well with our schedules, and things have been going on, and life happens. So this is what happens, I didn't know I was going to Salt Lake a couple weeks ago till like last minute, and I was going to do one with her, and then other things happen, and so here we are today. And if you I'm going to introduce Lindsey just subtly here because I'm going to have done all the 20 gauge athletes that Paul Lind has here pretty soon because they're just very interesting and diverse people. And it's so interesting to talk to people from different places with different points of view, but we're all in this world together. And I have become a fan of Lindsey here, and I assume I would become a fan of every one of Paul's athletes anyway, because it's just interesting to me how everybody seems to just get together here. So I know some stories here that we're going to have an interesting conversation, but if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, it would be great, Lindsey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys already know my name. I'm a mom of two wonderful kids, both teenagers now. Well, one soon not to be a teenager, I guess. Married to my wonderful husband for, he's gonna kill me because I can't remember, 20 something years. I actually a little background about how I got into ultra running. I got into it pretty late, and probably later 30s. And basically what struck me to want to be a big ultra runner, and I say big, but ultra runner, I mean that by distances, I suppose. I had a stroke 12 years ago. And so that kind of drove me to kind of like you say, it's like I want to live this life. I'm not gonna sit still, and I'm not gonna not be the mom to my kids that I don't, I'm going to be that mom that can run with my kids still and play and do whatever. Cause my daughter was still in diapers when it happened. And so anyways, that basically got me into it, and being told I was never going to be able to run again. And it's like, don't you dare take my passion away from me. So I fought for probably 2-3 years just to walk normal again. And then my left side was very affected. We made a goal, like, because with something like that, it's hard to explain the dark places it takes you and the depression that comes with it, just because my memory was so bad, and just everything. I didn't want to be around anybody because I just was embarrassed to even show my face, because I was afraid I was going to forget their name. Somebody I had been friends with for like 10 years, I was afraid I was going to forget their name or something, or just simple things. And so I went on a mission, and we made the goal I was going to run a marathon, and never ran a marathon before in my life, which is kind of funny to say that now. So we worked, and I got with an awesome doctor that was just really worked with me on my brain and the exercises, and trying to get my left side to function and be going good. And so I ended up running my first marathon in Eugene, because of course, being from Oregon, and Eugene's just like the running mecca of the world, we all know. So I went and ran that, and I honestly, I ran like 3:07 or something like that, and my finish line, the video, I wish I could pull it up. It's just my left side is just dragging because we finished on the track at Hayward. It's just dragging across like the last 200 meters. But since then, it's been a while now since that. Obviously, I took on something extreme because that's what I do. Because I'm just gonna, if I'm gonna prove somebody wrong, I'm gonna go to the extreme of doing it. And so I was like, okay, we're just gonna get into this ultra running thing. And I went up when Paul first started putting on his races up in Idaho, the River of No Return races. And I went up there and I was just like, well, I'm going to go. I'm going to support my friends and, support the race and everything. I believe it was the first year. Yeah, it was the first year. So I went up there and it ran the 50K. Yeah, I ran the 50K. I think it was a 50K at the time. He's going to kill me because I can't remember. But and I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, well, I'll just mimic what everyone else is doing. I know nothing about ultra running, like zero, like how to race these things. And I just was hooked after that. Just hooked. I just like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. I even wrote a letter to my doctors that told me that there's no possible way I'm gonna ever be able to do things that I have now done. Granted, they look different than what they used to, but it's all in what you want to do in life and what you want to achieve, and kind of show your kids too that for me it was like, you still can dream big. It just might be different. It might be a different goal set, but you can still dream big. Mom has these problems, but I don't look at them as problems. They're there, and we just do it a little differently, and we tend to fall a lot because of it in races.
Well, you have got me just thinking about a lot of stuff here off of this one, because I'm putting out a deal about me being funky in tomorrow's episode, and here's my problem with things. I've done enough podcasts here with people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever listened to the Meet a Barn Horse one, but that one, her son was in a UTV accident.
Okay.
And he had a brain injury, had partially paralyzed, this and that. 11 days, the doctors told her to take him off the ventilator.
Oh, yeah.
He's enrolling in college. I think he just enrolled in college now. She didn't give up. Here's my problem, and this is my problem, and it's not the world's problem. I understand this stuff. But what you just told me is the doctor said you would never be able to run a race.
Yeah.
And I am having problems. I have problems with medicine anymore, or not. I understand that we need, like, they help us out, but I don't think they're looking at the bigger picture of things, and it's driving me nuts.
Yep.
Because I know there's more to life than, if we don't have hope that we can do stuff, we aren't going to do it anyway.
No.
And they take away hope, and medicine is also hope. And for you to show people that that you can do it is another thing too, and you show your kids not to give up in the world. And that's one thing that is interesting to me. That's an inspiration, and that's where I'm having a hard time, because I told them, I started out Don't Die Rusty as Project Rick, because I was going to show how we evolve in life, and then I made the shirt like, I'm not going to, more or less, Don't Die Rusty. And I don't know, that's a way better name than Project Rick, because nobody gives a damn about Rick. But they do care.
I do.
All right. But Don't Die Rusty is like, you're going to live the best life you can.
Yeah.
We aren't here to. I've always wanted. I have a friend, and I have debated to bring him on.
Sure.
And because I don't know if we'd have an argument and we'd be in stuff, but you know what I mean? Because to me, from the outside looking in, it looks like he's trying to live a long life.
Okay.
And I look at things in different terms as I want to live a good life. Do I want to, do I want to, I don't want to work out and eat every day like I'm to try to live long. I want to work out. I want to do my stuff. I don't care about your stats as much as I care about the view that you saw on that run. We'll just say.
Yes.
And I don't care
Yeah.
about what you ate because I'm going to go over here and have ice cream some days because I'm an ice creamaholic, man. You know what I mean?
I'm right with you on that one. It's dangerous to have it in my house.
But there are also things we can do because we can, if we don't have it in the house and we have to go get it, then that's a treat. But
Yeah, true.
if we have a gallon of ice cream, I'm just using this as an example. If there's a gallon of ice cream in the house, it's gone in 2 or 3 days because I don't know what it is.
It's
But
just, yeah. I get it. It's almost like a comfort thing, but I don't know. It's just ice cream. Maybe it's like the memories of a kid. I don't know. Like it gets you.
Yes. And so where I was going with that was it was interesting too is we talk about preventative stuff but I don't want to live a safe life either. In the aspect I don't want to live a safe life in the fact that I was having this discussion with somebody the other day and we were talking about you can do your gene test.
Oh yeah, like the DNA. Yeah.
Gene test. And I was saying to them, you know what I mean? The DNA, like you could get cancer. Here's the deal. You might not.
Yeah.
It's a gene test.
Yeah.
And we were talking about some people that they think they have breast cancer and they're going to go get their breast cut off, but you don't even have cancer yet.
You don't know. And that's one of those things like that test for me. I just don't want to know. Even if it could be preventative, I don't want to know because I feel that's going to stop me from wanting to do certain things or even eat certain things and all those different things. I feel like it could stop you from wanting to live like this great life that you possibly could live just because I have it, or I might have it, I don't know, but my gene test says I do. So,
And that's where because that's where I was going before. You said something about preventative, and I was thought preventative. We need to live our lives. You need to chase your dreams.
Yeah.
And you need to run the races that you want to race till you can't run or you think you're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are things that I live for. There are things that I've done, and I said, that's enough. I still enjoy it. I would never take it away from anybody else. But I'm going to slow down on that, and I'm going to pick up and go this direction.
It's awesome, though, that you have slowing down somewhere, but you want to ramp it up somewhere else. Like you always have something to look forward to. And I think that's so important to have something to look forward to that you're excited about. And even though if this area has to slow down a little bit that you love, but you have this new thing coming. That's
because if you don't have dreams, what's the world about? I mean, I'm not going to fulfill all the dreams I've ever had, and I know that. But I don't know what dreams that I am going to fulfill, and that's what makes life interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely does.
and I'm talking to a person that has been through more stuff than I have, and you are helping me. People don't think about things until they happen to them or they hear about it.
Sure.
And you having a stroke and being able to keep going and going and going. I might as well get into this right now because I don't want to ever forget about it. All right.
Yeah,
but when Paul and I had our little conversation, we talked about you and your toughness because you were in a race in Arizona, correct?
Texas.
Yeah. Sorry. Still in the southern, still south.
Still hot. Yeah, it's good.
and you fell down and broke your teeth while you were running. Is that right?
Yeah, I was the rock down there is really hard. It doesn't give like, and so just to give a background of it, and so and the descents were pretty steep and rocky, and I'm not good on technical terrain as it is, but I was starting to gain a little confidence because we'd been out there, we trained out there before the race, and all this, and so I'm like, okay, Lindsey, like we can take some chances. And I'm sitting fifth. I see third and fourth, and up above, I can see him pretty far out, but fourth was a little closer. And I want to go catch her. I can do this. I want to go catch her. And going down the steep descent, and I clipped my foot on a rock, and literally, I just remember it was so steep. I remember just going, oh and flying, and my whole chin took the brunt of the fall. Like I didn't even have time to even get my hands down or anything. It was just like I just went, yeah, smashed my face in pretty much. And I remember I passed out for a second. I remember getting up and going, well, God, I got to start racing. I gotta go. And as I'm like spitting teeth out of my chiclets, like I remember the chiclet gums, like the chiclet gum. That's like my teeth were just coming out in pieces. And,
Oh,
and I thought my blood was coming from almost biting through my tongue. I didn't even realize that I hadn't. Of course, my brain probably was already rattled enough, and I didn't even realize that my chin down here had taken the whole fall and was just busted open. And so I keep going, and like Paul radios in to my friends and my husband. It's just like, yeah, Vince took a little bit of a fall. She's got some blood on her. You're gonna want to clean her up when you see her. And then so he catches back up with them, and I come in, and they're a little blood. They're like, oh my God. I'll share the picture with you. I mean, like I said before, I look like a hunting trip gone bad. There's just blood everywhere. And my friend's trying to patch me up and get things cleaned up. And he's just like, of course, they're not telling me how bad it is because they think, because I'm just like, no, I'm going to go. Like, I want to go. And finally at 50K, right before the 50K, I started throwing up because of concussion. And then came in the aid station, and they finally were like, yeah, you're no bueno. No bueno. You are done. You are just covered. And like, yeah, this just is not safe for you to keep going. So headed off to the hospital and got 8 stitches in my chin. And then I broke, I broke part of my jaw. I mean, it was just bad. It was a tough fall. And so my tongue was just, I had no teeth. In fact, I'm finally, years later, finally on the final road of getting all my teeth taken care of.
oh,
I mean, I probably should just have had dentures put in at this point. It would have been safer.
well. The funny thing is, did he say she's a hockey player? She'll make it through, or
Yeah, I mean, I just know it's just like, well, if Lindsay's going to go, she's going to go, regardless of what we tell her. I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn. It was pretty scary at the time, but we got through it. And they gave me some good drugs at the hospital to get through the night. And so,
but
oh,
see, we don't see that. I mean, we do it in certain sports. We see that kind of stuff. It's amazing that it truly is amazing the sports that we see some toughness, and then there's other sports that we see a lot of toughness,
yeah,
and in that's what has drawn me kind of the ultra thing. And I wish my knees weren't the way they were, because
yeah,
that's what's interests me about this. I mean, I've watched it for a long time, and I never really, I'm not, you know, I've done my own kind of ultras. I
sure.
I climb my own mountains, and I
Uh,
go the distance and challenge myself. Ricky, my partner, and then one of my friends, we did 8 peaks in one day, 24 hours. Is about a little
really?
over 40 miles, about 45 miles,
Oh,
and
wow.
and that's my own ultra. We weren't competing against anybody, but we did
Yeah.
it. And it was one of those things that teaches you lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Sure.
teaches you all kinds of stuff. And that's why I'm excited, because I want to see what happens at an ultra. I feel so lucky to be able to go to Western States and just watch.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to go watch you race, and I'm going to, and maybe Paul and you and Emily and I can go on a hunt together someday. That would be fun. All this
Yeah.
stuff is all this stuff is adding up, and like
Yeah.
I think we were talking earlier, but you don't know where life is going to take you.
No.
I, I've
No.
started doing the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to other people. I'm talking to people that
Uh-huh.
in that is what makes it life interesting.
Oh no, I was just saying it's just so great the people that you meet throughout all this. Just like you were saying, just the different people and the different backgrounds, and um, that's special in itself. Just being able to talk to those people on a one-on-one basis. I mean, granted it's going to be broadcasted, but you still get to talk to them, and we get to
Yeah.
talk to you and get to know you, and so.
Because when we started this, I said one thing I didn't want to do is I didn't want to be pigeonholed into one area. I wanted to talk to a diverse group of people. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I just had a discussion with one of my guys this morning. I said, here's the deal. And we were talking about other things. I never want to be labeled, because the only label that we should have is Lindsey. The only other one would be Rick, because once we start labeling ourselves, we're being put into that one corner, and that's the only place we'll ever be.
Yeah.
For me, I'm talking to cowboys and ultra runners, and I'm talking to everybody in between, and I'm talking to whoever that has a good story. And I
Yeah.
think that's more important to this world, because there's such a diverse amount of people in this world that have diverse interests, but they still have inspirational stories to tell.
Sure, sure. I always feel every place I go, like even lining up at a starting line at races. I honestly, in my head, I just go, everyone on this starting line has a story to tell. Like everybody does, and to me, like every person is important that's in that race, because they work just as hard as first to last place. I feel. In fact, the back of the Packers, I have probably the most respect for out of all of the ultra world. I mean, I obviously respect everybody, but they're just a special group, and because they're the people that know they're not going to ever win anything. They know they're not going to ever, you know, just not be on the podium or the age group, but they just go out because they love the sport. They love to be a part of it, and that's what makes it such a cool community. Is just like there's a spot for everybody to be in a race. I mean, as long as it's not a big lottery. Then it gets a little
Definitely.
trickier, but
Yeah.
that's what I love about it, and I love being at the old school hometown races and things like that. Just the people you get to know, and it just is wonderful. So
Well, it is, because like you'll probably notice that I don't have a problem talking to people, so that's why
yeah.
I've had some wonderful conversations that never knew the people, and then we end
Hmm.
up being friends. Or
Yeah,
social media these days helps out a ton, because
definitely.
you can I can really see if this is who you are when I look at your social
Yeah,
media page.
sure.
I'm not going to get you aren't going to give me your number, but I'll check you out on social media, and then maybe I'll message you, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because
Oh, yeah.
you also have to protect yourself in this day and age too. So I'll see who
Definitely.
you are first. And but it's cool that we get to communicate like this a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, or maybe a week ago. And we talked about, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but
Yeah.
we talked about, like, we were trying so hard to be somebody. I played softball for 20 some years, and then I wanted to get in
Okay.
I always said hunting would take the priority of anything, because I
Yeah.
love hunting.
Have
And I
you have
thought
you been hunting a long time? Like
I've been,
since like a kid?
yeah,
Yeah.
this would be, geez, just about, I'm about at 50 years now. I mean, I'm
Really?
going to
Oh
be
wow.
57. I'd be 12 years old is when I really got to start
Yeah.
hunting, but I
Yeah.
would, for myself, but I would go along.
Oh
But
sure.
what I'm saying here is I was writing a few articles, I was getting to know the right people, and I was like being on staffs and stuff, and I felt like I was losing myself because I loved hunting, and I
Hmm.
felt there was pressure on me so I could keep on going more into like being noticed. Ego
Sure.
probably took over. I mean, I got lucky and
Yeah.
I shot some big animals, so people were noticing who you are a little bit, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden one day it hit me, this isn't fun in the aspect of I'm not doing this completely for myself. I'm
Sure.
doing this I'm doing this for something that I wanted, but I don't want it to lose myself, I should say.
Yeah.
Is
No,
that understandable?
I really understand that because I feel that I when I first started into ultra running, I felt different. I just was like the excitement and like wanted to get out. I want to train. I want to do this and do that, and then as things started getting better and races were coming along and placing and things like that, and I kind of same thing. I kind of started to lose myself in the sense of like, well, if like you were saying, if I go to this race and I don't perform at this level, like people, I feel like I'm just going to be looked at as an old washed up lady. Like, why is she still doing this? But it's like, but then it's like a self check. I had to have done it many times of just, it's okay. You're lucky that you get to even be here and get to be a part of this event or whatever I'm doing at the time. Just to be able to, the fact that I was lucky enough um, that Paul picked me up as an athlete, which I'm sure he still questions to this day why he did. um, but and the fact that I mean I have a great coach and great people that I get to talk to, just being able to. I mean, maybe I'm going a little off topic here, but just being able to travel um, to other countries too really put things in perspective for me that, running is not everything, Lindsey. There's so much more to this than being the ultra runner or being the person that everybody, it wants to go see or, all this stuff. Going to these other countries and being with different groups of people. I love stage racing. That's where my heart is. I love stage racing. And when I went over to Mongolia, I it just completely helped put things back into what really mattered to me in life, and that these people are barely surviving, and yet I get to just fly over here and run a race with all these wonderful people that I met, um, and it's just the fact that uh, like when I went over there, it was just like it was a smaller group. The Racing the Planet does all these races all over the world, and there was probably about 80 of us that did it. But you know how things are. Once you spend a week with somebody in a tent with a group of people, you just become family. And I just felt it really. I don't know how to put it in words because I'm not good with words, but just it really put a very um, heartfelt feeling in me that why I really do this. It's because I want to go meet new people and I want to know like their backgrounds and I want to know their stories and I want to be immersed in cultures I've never would imagine I would have been in. I mean, Mongolia definitely was never on my radar of a bucket list for me to go see before I die. But oh my God, I'm so glad I did because it just really, like I said, just put things all in perspective of life and what when it comes down to it that it doesn't matter what you ran, what you did. It all comes down to how you treated people and what you did for them. Not necessarily what you did for them, but just how you treated people. I've always believed that. It just I can remember all your accolades and all your different things. They're gonna remember for who you are and what you brought to the table for them. Whether when you walked in a room, if you lit up the room or made the mood, dampened the mood for people. I don't know, something like that. But so, I mean, maybe that doesn't make sense, but like, I'm trying to just explain it out in my head, I guess, in ways that, so yeah.
Here, I think we might have to stop this interview right now because you've been to Mongolia, and that was one of my dreams to go to Mongolia, and I still might.
I tell you, it is worth going. Like, it is. Oh my! It's an unbelievable country. Unbelievable.
Well, they have their
are amazing.
They have the festival in Ulaanbaatar, and I always wanted to go to see that festival. And there's other things I wanted to see in Mongolia, but we won't stop that, right? I won't hold that against you that you've been there and I haven't.
No, I'm storing with you for pictures. I mean, there's so many pictures and videos that I never even posted on my page just because I'm like, people are gonna get tired of this. So I just stopped, but it was awesome. It just was an incredible experience. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting what you were just saying too, because I just posted this the other day. It might have been it might have been this morning. I don't know. No, but it was yesterday. I think we get to the point where we are looking and we aren't seeing, and I got to the point where in my hunting wise, I was not seeing the bigger picture. I wasn't seeing the view. I wasn't seeing the people that I was with. And sometimes I was alone. Most of the time I'm alone. I only like Paul and I might go hunting now, but I'm very selective who I go hunting with because I just it's one of those things. But people are selective of whatever they do. But I don't. Here's the deal. I don't. I want to be in that place with somebody that enjoys it just as much as I do, who loves the cotton candy morning when the sun is just not up yet, or when that sun comes over the horizon and there happens to be clouds in the sky and it's going out there, and then you have the view in front of you, and then you have the animals, and then you have the adventure, and then people don't realize, and it's not just hunting, it's about going to a race. It's about, when you start realizing that, I like what you say, because I came from a little town, but who's going to remember that you got second in a race or first in a race, or who's going to remember that I made a great catch playing softball, or who's going to remember that adventure besides you?
Yeah.
So if you aren't doing it for you and to make memories for you or that moment or those people you're doing with, then why are we doing this? I mean, when we were talking earlier, when you're doing it for somebody else or you're thinking that you're doing it for somebody else, then you're losing yourself.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you on that for sure, because it's so easy to, like you said, just to look at it in a way of like, you want to do it for somebody else and you want to impress somebody else, and instead of going internally and just being like, no, I need to do this for me. I need to make it so it's something that's special for me and special for even the people around me. I feel like just not that they have to make it special for me, but I just think of like the people that have crewed me in races and things like that. Like I give them all the credit for getting me through a race. It took everybody as a whole to make that happen, and I know I can't do that on my own. I need somebody there for me to be there with me. But knowing myself and knowing what I need is always my downfall sometimes, because sometimes I do want to do it for somebody else, or I don't like to be the center of attention ever on anything. And then sometimes I think it makes me miss out on some stuff because of it, but that's just who I am. I don't, in fact, when social media came out and I had to, post a certain amount of posts because, for the companies or whatever I was running for, I had a hard time doing that just because I just felt like I was bragging or not, doing something. I didn't feel right doing it at first. And everyone's like, well, just the more you do it, Lindsey, the more you'll get used to it. And then I'm just one of those people, I'm not good with words. So I don't even want to post. Just being in my own little world, doing things that I want to do and love. That's what I was getting at. Like, just doing my thing and just being able to find yourself and I guess I feel like it kind of just boils down to having the confidence of being who you are and doing what you want to do, no matter what anybody says or thinks. I definitely had to fight that a lot when I had my stroke, because it was a lot to get through with the doctors and doctor after doctor to finally find somebody that believed in what I needed.
I love what you just said, and I'm right now. See, I write little notes to myself so I'd never forget where I want to come back to. But confidence, I agree with you there, and I never thought about it in those terms that you just said, because I think you're trying to prove that you are a good hunter or a good runner or this and that to somebody else.
Yeah.
When you don't, and if you don't have the confidence to say I am that person, then you're constantly trying to prove it to somebody, and you start losing that within yourself. It's like,
Yeah.
it's interesting to me, because when people come to me and ask advice on equipment, the advice on, don't ask me where to go hunting though, because I'll send you 400 miles away from where I really am, because I put all that work in there. You know that one.
Yeah, I found these spots. You're gonna have to find new ones.
But I'll help you out on equipment. I'll probably send you in the right direction, but in a good direction. And it's probably the common thing until you put your work in. But I'd never thought about that confidence, because you're constantly trying to prove that you're good enough to be within you're trying to give yourself confidence.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to prove that I'm good enough to be here.
Yeah.
And you are good enough to be here. You just didn't have that confidence within yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I'm looking like people come, like I said, the equipment, you have your that Speedland shirt on. I could come up and say, do you love those shoes? You know what I mean? Or for me, I mean, everybody has their preferences though. And I've learned some days, like, this works good for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Solomon speed cross person. That's me. Okay.
Yeah.
But what works for me might not work for you. And you think you need to try different bows. I think you need to try different shoes. I think you need to try. I'm a Sitka person, but if you like Kuyu, you try that stuff out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever works for you is for you.
Yeah.
I can give you advice, and I can give you where I think this needs to go. But in the end, it's your choice that makes you better. What makes you better?
Yeah. Wait, are you asking?
No.
Asking me that question? That's a deep question.
No, I'm not, but you know what I mean, equipment-wise. Yeah.
For a minute, I'm like, oh no.
No, but I mean, those are the places we can go, you know. So when we were talking about confidence earlier, that's where I know I ramble at times, but when people start coming and ask you those questions, that means you have done something that people want to come and ask you those questions. So why are we trying to prove it to the world?
Yeah. I never thought of it like that. Like the people coming up and asking, I never thought about that way. Like, yeah, I guess just because I openly admit, like, I struggle with my confidence immensely, but it's something I'm working on to be better at. Just more so, just like you say, like believing that I belong. You know, because I don't ever want to use my age as an excuse because I don't ever want to feel like I'm old. I'm like, no, I'm like ever. It's just one of the things I just struggle with, and I in my earlier years, I mean, I got stuck on the whole comparison train wagon, and that's just such a bad place to be. And I figured that out real fast, like just a bad place to be. And I admit that. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that I had struggles because I mean, anybody that doesn't admit they hadn't had struggles with anything, I don't feel being completely honest either. So, but yeah, I mean, there's struggles. I mean, just like you're saying, just kind of being in this like feeling like you're not sure why you're feeling this certain way, and so it's just like a game you play. I can't play my head, and I try to just constantly remind myself that it's okay. Like I said before, we're doing what we love, and we just need to keep it at that. And you're lucky to be here. So, try to put it in that terms, and that helps me. But yeah,
well, good. Tomorrow is like 16 minutes of Rick.
Yeah,
I know I'm going here, but it's 16 minutes of Rick, and I like I said, I struggled this last 3 or 4 months, and I don't know if I've gained a little weight that I shouldn't have gained, and I put in miles, but I haven't been putting quality miles. I'm not climbing mountains like I normally do, but we got extra snow, and
quality to you though. What is quality to you?
Quality is at least climbing a mountain a week.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I put in my regular time, but quality is. I usually climb a mountain we have here. It's round trip, roughly 7 miles, roughly 5,400 vertical, 1,600 vertical feet of gain. And it's 4 hours of freedom. And I'm talking about freedom from the world.
Yeah, it's so nice to be unplugged.
And I think I haven't had that. So that's where my struggle has been, is that I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I go for my walks in the morning.
Yeah.
But it's a short thing, and you're thinking about work, or you're thinking about this, and you don't unplug.
Yeah.
When I go for these other, well, like when spring is here now, hopefully it's starting to come. We'll have 3 or 4 feet of snow here in about a month or so. But what I'm saying is, when you unplug, when you can get away and you can think and you can still, the quality depends upon the day. Some days I speed up, some days I take my time and take pictures.
Yeah.
But the quality is of my mental health, of my physical health, of me feeling good, and that gives me confidence.
Yeah.
So and here's the difference between, I mean, I've said this before too, is the confidence person knows they're good. An arrogant person tells everybody they're good.
True.
So, but where I was getting to this, where we were also getting, and I was talking about tomorrow's episode, is I said in it, it's crazy, but I feel I would rather be alone in the woods by myself, because I went to Salt Lake last week, and I'm with, I don't know, there's probably, I don't know how many people were at the show. There's a ton of people. Like,
yeah, you went to the big one,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thousands of people, and I go to, and I've never missed a show ever, and I have lots of friends, and this is no diss against any of my friends, but it's funny how you can be in a crowd and you can feel really alone.
Yeah.
But I can be in the woods being alone, and I'm not alone. I don't feel insides feel a lot better being in the woods by myself than I do in the crowd.
My God, it like brings like peace to you.
It does.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's where I go with ultra running. Like, here's another funny thing is, and I want to get your perspective, because we talked about it earlier when you broke your teeth and you were playing hockey where you were ultra running. But anyway, I'm just kidding you. Got a hockey puck to the mouth there. I'm just kidding.
I said a hockey puck jumped up and hit me.
but But here's where I'm going with this is that you said you could see the third and fourth place runner.
Yeah.
And you wanted to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had this thing, and I don't know what it is. Those are the things like I climbed the peak I'm telling you about. I climbed it 100 times. I climbed it. Some days I climbed it like did a marathon in a day, and some days I did it once a day. It didn't. I climbed it within every third day I was climbing. That was the average.
Oh wow.
Some days were different. But here's where I'm going with that. If there was somebody ahead of me, and most of the time I climbed it in the morning so I could see people. If there is somebody ahead of me, I wanted to catch them.
You wanted to catch them.
And what is that within us?
I don't know. That's just just that competitive side, just like I want to do it, and I don't even feel when I'm thinking about it. It's not something I want to. I think for me, it's like a toughness thing. I'm going to do this. Like I'm gonna dig deep and fight off all these bad feelings I'm having right now. And I'm going to go get it. I don't know. And just being a competitive person, I think it's one of those things that you take pride in wanting to, like you said, to pass that person if they're ahead of you, or to, if you're on the mountain and you see that person too, especially if it's a place you're familiar with and something you do every day. That's like, no, that's my mountain, that's my place, and you're not going to beat me up this mountain. For me, it's just it's more of just like an inner drive for me, an inner drive to see if I can do it too. Like just see if I can push beyond the barriers and see if I can make it happen for me. Because
you're right. That's the funny thing, what you just said too, because I knew the mountain, and I know if these guys if these guys are just average hikers, I know where they're going. I'm going to catch them. They're going to get to this part, and I'm going to blow by them. So
just familiar, you know it.
if they look like they're in a shape, because you can kind of see in a couple areas, you can kind of see if. And I'm thinking, well, I might need to push a little harder, but I know that they aren't doing this every day because I'm up here more than anybody at that time, and I'm going to catch you. And here's another funny thing, and I want to know this from a runner. I never asked Paul. I never asked Emily. So here's a question that I'm going to ask you that I've never asked them, because you just made me think about this. Because there's two things when I was climbing, and I want to know if you say this to yourself or not, or am I just kind of out there kind of crazy and dumb? But and it's funny because when you're by yourself, you talk to yourself, and I talk to my legs. I say, "Come on, girls!" And I've had people with me, and they go, "Who are you talking to? Who are the girls?" They're my legs, and they're my legs. I'm trying to get them to get moving, But here's where I come with the girl part is like, I'm telling myself, don't be a little bitch. You got to get moving here, So maybe that's where it came from. I don't know, but it's like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk to myself a lot, and I will say things like similar to just like, like, come on, Lindsey, quit being such a wussy, quit being, quit being such a Well, and like you said, quit being such a little bitch and just get out there, go do it, make it happen, dig deep and find a way. So it's. I feel like those mantras is what gets you through those times though, where you're just like wanting to push hard and blah blah. Like you have to have just a certain mantra in your head, or if it's changing constantly, like mine is, because I can't keep a single thought in my head for more than 5 seconds. So, but just to have that to get through. Of course, there's all those times when you have those lows, especially in the longer races, and it's just. I cussed a lot during the low times. So I'm like, we'll get out of this. We'll get out of this. We'll get out of this. And then you start going, this has been a lot longer. What if I don't get out of this? I'm like, come on, body. Like, work with me. We got this. Work with me. I know I've abused you today, but just work with me. Like, please.
I have to tell you, I swear at myself too. There's been a lot of F words and MF words and
Yeah.
other things, and it's not to. And here's the scary thing about that is because you think you're by yourself and you come around the corner and somebody, oh, wow, it's like, oh my gosh, they heard me talking, and it wasn't to them. They kind of look at you kind of
Yep.
funny.
Oh God, I know. It happened so many times. So many times.
Well, that's at least I don't feel alone anymore. But it's funny because I never asked Paul and I never asked Emily that one. I thought, am I the only one that's calling my legs names?
Take that one from you too. I like that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it just helps you look within yourself, But it's because it's also I saw a deal. Would like, as a meme or a video I saw, but would you watch? How many people would get up in the morning and hike 8 hours just to see the view for 2 minutes? And I'm one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done that many times. We yeah, hiked through, in fact, the South Sisters, or the mountain range here.
Yeah.
And one of them's relatively, the ranges aren't real difficult here in Oregon. I mean, they're not, they're hard, but not like crazy hard. But so we got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, got our headlamps on, and hiked for God, probably a good 2 hours till we got to the peak of the mountain, and just the same thing, just to watch the sunrise. And like once it was done, it was like, okay, now, and we left. It was like that was
Right.
amazing, beautiful, and we sat there for a minute because it's just taking the moment, of course, because like
Yep.
I'm a sucker for sunsets and more so sunsets because I'm not a big early riser, but I will be if I have people with me.
Yeah.
Uh, but just to catch those moments is, I don't know. I especially for me living on the ocean, it has an extra beauty to it for me because it's like we're ending the day here, where it's like ending the day, the sun just set. I mean, and they're just spectacular because you can just see it going over and starting. On the other side of the world, today is going to be starting soon. You can just see it rolling over, and um, but I will never I will never beat mountain sunsets or sunrises. I don't know because those are pretty hard to beat, especially since I love being in the mountains so much. But being by the
Yeah.
ocean is pretty. There's just something about the waves crashing and watching that. It just always has a special feel to it for me.
Because that's what I think. I lived in Australia. I lived
Okay.
and I was along the beach a lot in Western Australia. It's kind of crazy to me because I'm a mountain lover.
Yeah.
And then I see people going to the beach for peace, and I think it is the crashing. I think it's more the sound.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't get good views. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, but it's interesting to me. Like it's the crashing part. Maybe that's just calms you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was like when we were in Costa Rica last year when Code and I ran the Coastal Challenge, and Paul came down with us, and of course, most of the course ended right by the beach. Just every night, just all the locals, everybody all came out, watched the sunset every night. It's just, well, for me, it's just something that it just never gets old to me. Like it's just because each one's always a little different, I guess.
It
Um,
is.
but yeah, I don't know. There's just something serene about it, I guess, that just makes people. I really don't know. Like honestly, I mean, for me, I know it's a calming thing for me. Like, and I tend to reflect a lot on the day when I go watch it when the sun comes out here, which is very few and far between. But I guess maybe that's why they're so special.
That could be.
Right?
Because that is very, very true there. Because here's my dream one day is I want to take up all this equipment and then I want to sit on top of the mountain, watch the sunrise, and do a live podcast or something. I don't know what I got to do, but and sit there and chat with somebody.
Yeah.
Because
Or would you? Would you want that peaceful moment though of
and
watching
that's
it?
and that's the other part that we go into too, because I think
Yeah.
I like that peaceful moment, or I like that person that that I've made get out of bed because I've challenged them. So now we
True.
got to go climb the mountain and see the sunrise, and then
Yeah.
they get up there and they go, "This is awesome, and it's peaceful, and it's the most
Yeah.
beautiful thing I've seen in a long, long time," and that makes me happy too.
Yeah.
So, not that they're going to do it as much as I would. I
Yeah.
mean,
You show them something that they
I do. So
have.
they don't have. A lot of people don't have to get up out of bed because I'm already showing them the sunrise when they
This is
open their eyes.
true. And they're always beautiful.
So, well, I hope I ask one last question. I will let you get going,
Okay.
but I'll
I
ask.
really
Could
enjoyed
you?
talking with you. I could talk probably another 2 hours with you.
I could too. So we'll have to do this again. You have kids and I have a wife, but yeah.
I'm just probably like, come on. Just like my daughter, she just pointed at me to like, you done yet, mom?
So but she wouldn't do that. Cindy is the most awesome wife that she understands what I'm trying to do, and that's a cool thing. But we
Can I
have,
ask you one question though?
yeah.
What made you want to start doing the podcast? Like, what was your driving force behind it? That was just
Well,
curious. I just always am interested in that.
I I think I felt I had something to say,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it was after my mother had died, and I wanted to do this a while ago when I didn't have the guts to do it, and then my buddy, actually my partner Ricky, he did a podcast with me. He does another podcast called The
Oh,
Range, and we
okay.
did a podcast, and it got more philosophical. Because here's my problem:
Yeah.
I've done a few. I want to know about the person. I don't. I love what you do, and I love like racing, and I love this. But where does it take you? And that's where I like going here. And
I love
I love to have conversations with people.
yeah.
And I felt like that's why I started doing like posting. That's why I try to say, like, some days I don't have anything to say because I haven't read anything that it was really
That
hit
inspired you,
me,
right?
or I haven't seen anything that inspired me. And
Yeah.
everything I put out there, and I'll quote it if it's not me, but I
Yeah.
may have read something, but I want to put it in my words because I feel this is, I wanted to be authentic, and
Yeah.
I want people to listen to this thing and say, hey, this guy has some cool things to say, and his guests are awesome because they have something to say. I mean,
Mm.
how many times do we get to talk to the people that have cool stories? And there's a lot of people out there, like you said, you can line up at a race
Yeah.
and everybody has a story to tell, but
Yeah.
does everybody feel comfortable to tell it? And
True.
and I did a conversation with, if you ever get the chance, Kelly Lovelace. It's a story about me. And what happened
Oh,
was, more
mhm.
or less, and I
Yeah.
went through a bad divorce years ago, and
Okay.
Kelly was there and helped me through this. But I think here's, in this day and age, it's getting better, but men don't. I want to. I'm a transparent, open book, and I
Yeah.
know that I do dumbass things, and I know that I say dumbass things, but I want people to have that. Rick said this, or Rick had a conversation about this, and now I, I've had people that have said, "Thank you, you've saved my life." So when that app comes through, because I listened to your podcast, and it wasn't a good deal. So but I listened to the podcast, and you got me through this
Oh,
talk.
that's
So if
pretty
I can
special.
help one person, that's all that matters. But I think
Yeah.
it's about helping people. How can I help people? Because I'm not a rich man, and I'm not. But if I can get a voice out there and people can have a
Yeah.
conversation and be good, that's why I want. That's why I try to. If you wake up and go for your, like, have that fresh air in your lungs in the morning, and even if you don't, if you see that I'm doing it,
Yeah.
eh, then maybe you'll think about something I might have said, Maybe you'll get up and do it yourself.
Yeah.
I know you follow me, and I know that, but I never told my dad to go do his walks, and he walks
Oh,
those, and he's 81, going to be 82, and he's putting on 2 to 3 miles a day, 4 miles on Sundays, walking.
really?
And here's the bad deal: is like, I stop and take a picture, I got to run to catch up with him because I just that son
You
of a
have
gun
enough
keeps
kind
on
of
moving.
stuff.
Yeah, but those are the times you feel closer to people, and
Yeah.
people get out there and think. So I
Yeah.
did it because I probably did it selfishly, unselfishly, I'd say, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Selfishly because I thought I had something to say, unselfishly because I think if people want to listen and get something
Yeah.
out of it, then it's good.
No,
But I
that's
wanted to,
amazing. I'm just curious, like what drove you to do that? That's really, I like that.
but don't die rusty is about more than just your body moving. It's about your mind, and it's about feeling your body. I'm I'm going to be kicking and screaming when I go out in this world.
I hope so. I think everyone should if they,
And, and the other thing is, I've seen people. I'm not trying to get sentimental here, but I've seen people die in hospitals. I've seen people die, and I know. Here's a funny one for you, though. About that, I hope I die in the woods, and I hope I die in the woods because when when if I died in the woods, the birds would start eating me. The coyotes might they might say he's not very good. I don't know, but whatever. Whatever starts eating me,
Mhm.
whatever starts eating me is going to poop me out. Now then, that means I'd be spread out.
Oh.
Plus, when everybody said Rick was a piece of crap, I would be.
Oh goodness, that's great. That's so great.
but
That'd be pretty hard for us because you're a pretty great guy. But
but I mean, I do hope my last breaths are in the piece of anyway. So yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but we always ask a last question,
Yeah.
and here it is. And I never even gave you a tip of what it was going to be, but you might know what it is
Okay.
anyway.
You're
So,
under fire here.
the the last question we always ask is, what's the good life to Lindsey?
Oh, oh, I would just say for me, it's not necessarily about what's a good life for me, but I think um, what a good life I can leave for my kids, uh, and I guess just the lessons I can show them and what mom has done, and so for me, like the good life is just live it to the fullest you can. My mother-in-law passed away at a quite a younger age of a second bout of cancer that she had, and I remember one of the last things she ever said to us was, "Don't wait till you're old to do what you want to do." She's like, "Do it now," and um, and that really stuck with me. It's really stuck in a way that probably, I mean, put us financially into places. We always have been fine, but just we could be better. But we chose to live that way, to just do it now and not wait until that time comes or till you have the right moment or the perfect financial situation. Just because I'm honest about that. So I would just say, do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait for that perfect moment. Don't wait till I'm at such an age that I'm going to start doing it. There's no reason you can't start even after you listen to this podcast, whatever that dream was. Start doing it. Start
Yep.
doing that, and it might be hard to start, but once you get rolling and get a good cheer squad behind you if you need it, and go do it. So um, that's probably probably what I would. That's kind of my life as Lindsey, I suppose. So, and I've been fortunate to travel places that most people probably won't ever get to see in their lifetime, and I feel very fortunate of that. And a lot of that's just again, just doing it while I can, and don't wait. I mean, just like you're saying, don't die rusty, right? So you just
That's right.
go do it, go live all those dreams, even if you have to, even if it means, I mean, I know we're not all financially in the means to go travel to crazy places, but that doesn't mean you have to go travel somewhere crazy just to find a reason. Like you said, even just hiking up a mountain, doing things like that. If you're, just go do it. Don't wait. And I know that's probably not really like any awe-inspiring thing, but I just, it really, my mother-in-law really stuck with me with that, because she didn't get to see a lot of things that she wished she would have done, because they waited to live out their dream and it was too late. So, yeah.
I think that is wonderful. I think you said it pretty well. I think because that's the way I feel. There are things in life that you got to do it when you can, because you can't wait. How do we know what's going to happen tomorrow? And like you said, that's what Don't Die Rusty's about. It's about living your best life while you can.
Yeah.
And taking the chances. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
No.
I might be out on a morning walk and meet Sasquatch that doesn't like me. I don't know,
If that happens, you'll be so famous.
But I love what you're doing there, because so many people don't chase their dreams. It's funny what you just said too. I was taking one of my guys down to pick up a truck the other day. I work at a lumber yard, and we were getting one fixed, and I was taking him, and he said he wanted to go to Japan. I said, "Why aren't you going?" Well, I said, "There's no wells about this.
Good for you. That's great.
There isn't a well. There's you're going to save up and you're going to go do it. You look in, go get your passport, get ready, and you're going to do it, because life is way too short not to go do it."
Yeah.
You may want to go to Japan. He wanted to go to Japan. I said, "You may want to go to Japan. I don't want to really go to Japan. I want to go to Mongolia. I want to go to, I would love to go on to Tibet or wherever else." Those are just interests to me. Paul and I talked about Cody going to Bhutan, and those are places that I would love to see. But there you go. Keep chasing your dreams.
Yeah. I know it's nothing crazy, but that's just after, having my stroke and everything like that. It's just, you got to go live, because you just, like you said, you just never know what's going to happen. Like I didn't know the night after my birthday I was going to wake up in the middle of the night and my life was going to completely change, So yeah, and I think just being and just doing what you love. It doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be, can just be even just music. There's music you love, like go chase it. Go find what drives you to do that. So
there you go.
But anyways, I'm always like nervous to answer those questions.
No, you did awesome. So thank you. And thank you so much for being on this episode.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful pleasure. It really has. And I really hope we get to meet in person someday. So
me too.
I'm going to sit down and pick your brain with everything you've done and lived and all your hunting stories and everything. So
well, we'll find a time to do this, because I think these are the things that I think people need to do too. What's funny is when we first started this, I said I'd never wanted to do one that wasn't in person, and I've done a few that weren't in person. I've done most of them now, because I think you get a different vibe, you get a different, it's just one of those things. So one of these days we're going to meet and we're going to do one in person then.
Okay. Okay. I'll maybe be a little more brushed up on my My
No, you're
podcast
good.
skills.
You did
Like I said, I don't. I've shy away from them, and I've had opportunities, and I don't do it. And but I was just like, I can't say no to it. I can't.
good.
And so,
But, well,
so
you did wonderful. And it's funny, and I'll get off here in a second, but it's funny because I had a friend that I was telling you about that does the Life is Better with a Bow podcast,
yeah.
Sean DeGray, and he has Frank Charles works for him. And Frank has a story about addiction and
Oh.
stuff I did it with him. And he wouldn't talk to Sean. He talked to me, though. So there we go. Thank you.
There you go. You're up there. Everybody knows Hank.
But we have a great authentic conversation, and I
Yeah,
like that part. It's not
yeah,
I don't have questions. I do write down on little notepads like I want to get back to something you said, but I don't have a
sure.
question. I think the authentic conversations are what needs to be had in this world too.
Yeah. And I that's why I feel I've listened to of yours. That's what I really liked about it. It wasn't not like you said, it wasn't geared toward, oh, what have you done in running? What have you done this? Like some of them are. That's just all they
Yeah.
talk about. Whereas like, no,
Yeah.
he just wants to get to know you as a person. Like
Yes.
that's just wonderful. So I'm really very thankful for the opportunity. I really am. So
Well, you better guarantee me the next time if we have another one and we have it in person, you'll do it with me.
I will. I will.
Well,
I
that
will.
means we
I
have
promise. And you haven't restated it on camera.
Excellent. So
Yeah, I know. So,
good. So we have an episode in the future to do. So that'll be awesome. So.
maybe for some reason I'd come out to South Dakota. I don't know.
That'd be awesome. Bring the family. You have a place to stay. Just remember that.
Okay.
And remember, Mount Rushmore is not in Colorado. It's in the Black Hills of South Dakota.
Do you know it's in Colorado?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. It's so funny.
That is funny, and we've had arguments before about this stuff with people. No, it's in where at in Colorado? Then are you talking?
Oh,
So
that's good. It's funny. That just made me remind me. This is probably even embarrassing to admit, and people are going to be like, "What in the world?" But when I first started, when I first kind of heard about ultra running and all that in Western states, and my brother and I would talk about it because he always wanted to do it, and so I kind of was in it, but not really because it wasn't something I was interested in at the time. But so I thought this is really embarrassing to admit. I thought for the longest time that Western states was in Colorado. So there you go. I guess. But not Rushmore. Not Rushmore. I knew it was in South Dakota.
That's good. So.
All right. I need to let you go.
No, I'll let you.
Our difference on these. So.
No, you're fine. But I'll just say, I'll let you go here too. But I want to thank you so much. This has been a fun conversation. Can't wait till our next one. This is so great.
No, me too. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. So,
Good.
Yeah, like I said, we will meet in person someday, eventually. So.
Sounds awesome.
Yes, we have to, even if it's in Idaho. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So don't die, Rusty Nation. You keep chasing your dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die, Rusty.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Don't Die Rusty podcast with your hosts, Rick Hanson and Ricky Bruley. The Don't Die Rusty podcast is written and produced by Rick Hanson and Ricky Bruley. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Don't Die Rusty. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question for the Ricks? Send us an email at don'tdierusty@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Don't Die Rusty podcast wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.